Hello, I'm Connor McReynolds, and technically anything is possible. So when I tell you that I've designed and built a fully functioning time machine, you're going to want to believe me. This is the Time Machine Podcast. Each week I invite one lucky guest to join me on a trip through time and space. We'll be stopping at 3 points in time that particularly interest my guests, and we find out a bit more about where we are, why we're there, and how our actions in the past might destroy life on our planet as we know it. My guest this week is the fantastic Daman Bamrah. Daman is a stand-up who you may have seen at Jericho Comedy or on Channel 4 or at the BBC New Comedy Awards. He also co-hosts the Weak-Minded podcast with Stuart Laws. He's a voiceover artist. I could go on. He's a busy guy. You're busy people. I'm quite busy myself too. So without further ado, here is Daman Bamrah. Daman Bamrah, thank you so much for being on the Time Machine Podcast. How are you doing?
Thanks for having me. I'm doing great, thanks, man.
Good.
I'm looking forward to this. I've always wanted to go into a time machine.
Well, that's interesting because sometimes I ask guests, like, what are your feelings or what are your thoughts on time travel? And most people are kind of like, I've not really given it that much thought. But you've always wanted to?
I think so. I've always been like interested in like ancient history. Like when I was a kid, I was really interested in ancient Egyptian civilization, ancient
Yeah.
Greeks, Romans, things like this. And obviously, like you learn so much about it, but then you have so many questions, right?
Yeah.
Like, and especially because I think time travel is also like otherworldly. Like we have so many bits and bobs throughout history where someone describes something miraculous or magic happening, and I'm like, well, I want to see it. Can I see it?
Yeah. Prove it.
Yeah, exactly. And now we live in an age where everything is filmed. I'm like, I'm never seeing magical stuff going on.
Yeah.
Did magical things?
Yeah.
Did they happen? Like, I think they did, maybe, but God, like, I would love to see it. So yeah, I've definitely been fascinated and curious
Were you like a big
with
kind of
time travel.
time travel sort of movie fan, like Back to the Future and that kind of thing when you were growing up, or?
Actually, no, yeah,
Ooh.
not Back to the Future, not Doctor Who. I mean, my dad was really into all of those, and I never could completely get into it. But when it was on, like Doctor Who, the Tennant years, the Christopher Eccleston years, I used to go around to my granddad's house, way back when, and he didn't have too much on TV, but he had like all the stuff, like obviously Doctor Who was on BBC One, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, that would be on, and then I would watch it. It was always interesting. I just never seeked it out. Do you know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah, I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
Well, your choices for this are so brilliant. I'm so excited to get into talking about your choices. You also, I don't think I explained the format to you very well initially when I asked you to come on. So your first sort of suggestions, you had one in the past, one in the present, and one in the future.
Mm.
Uh, so some of the options that you kind of put out, you also gave like a list of kind of honorable mentions of if I could have more than
Yeah.
three. So yeah,
Yeah.
you thought about going to the year zero to meet Jesus,
Big time.
which I thought was an interesting choice because in the year zero, I don't know if he'd have had that much to say.
That's a good point. That's such a good point. I did not think about that, but I would have been there to see the birth in the stable,
Yeah, you'd have been able to
right?
chat to the wise men and some
Chat to the wise
shepherds.
man, see what
Yeah.
all this frankincense is all about, all this myrrh, you know, see the quality of these things. Um, I would, yeah, I feel like so much of today is governed by those few years that happened back then.
Yeah.
And I just feel that because it's been so formative to today's society, I'm like, wouldn't that be interesting to go back to that time and just clear a couple things up?
Definitely, yeah. That I mean, it's a great show. And then you also, when you thought you had to go somewhere in the present, which luckily you don't necessarily need a time machine to do. That's just a plane journey. But you
Big
were
time.
interested in going to like North Korea and the forbidden areas of Hiroshima. But then you also
Oh
said the
yes.
Seychelles and the Maldives. These are very different
Yeah.
energies, Daman.
Oh my God, such different energies. Okay, so I also assume that the time machine is basically a teleportation device
Love that. Yeah.
because if obviously it's going to take me to a time and a location, and if the time is now, then it just takes me to the location, right?
Yeah, that makes
So
sense.
no more paying for transport. I think that's a little hack. No plane journeys required. Um, but I think those two sets of places that I mentioned for the present. So the thinking behind those is that the Seychelles and Maldives is a little bit bleak, but because of global warming, they're supposed to like sink, in the
Oh,
next
okay.
like in the like 20 years. Like they're just
Right.
not going to be around. People are like, yeah, go
Okay.
now.
So you want to see them, yeah, while they're an option.
I want to see them while they're an option. I want to
Nice.
go get the postcards, go get the Instagram pics, you know,
Well,
go see
that
the turtles, see if they can give me any swimming tips for the future because I'm gonna need them. Um, and then I think I also said like the Amazon rainforest for the same
yes,
reason. It's
yeah.
disappearing,
Yeah, that's
right?
true. Yeah, yeah.
There can only be one Amazon at a time, and there's one that's winning. Sadly. So I think so for those reasons, I was like, it would be such a cool like ecological trip, like seeing nature. I love nature and animals and plants and so on. And so that was thinking behind that. But then the other things, the darker things, like going to North Korea and so on. I watched a series a while back on Netflix called Dark Tourist.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of this one.
Have you heard of it? It's so good. It's a journalist. He goes to all of these places where you're not supposed to go,
Yeah,
and where like essentially society just tends not to talk about these places, or they have secrets hidden away, like North Korea, where you can't go, or if you do go, it's a very controlled tour,
sure.
very for like a very select few amount of people that get to go every year.
Yeah, yeah.
And then with Hiroshima, there's an episode where I mean it is a little bit bonkers, but you know they they organize these tours where they give everybody one of those little machines. Is it a Geiger counter? You know that
Oh, yeah, yeah.
measures radiation.
Yeah.
And then they just go to these places where it's the radiation's just through the roof. You should not be going to these places, but they're like, look in there, huh? And I'm just
Like,
like,
new high
there's that.
score.
Yeah, ding, ding, ding,
I'm
ding,
winning at
and
radiation.
uh, and I'd guess like I'm just so fascinated by those bits of society that wider society tells us not to associate with or to just kind of leave alone. But we're like this.
Mm.
I'm just like there's so many mysteries there though. Like what's happening? What's happening in North Korea? Like every time someone on Reddit is like, guys, I flew a drone over North Korea. Check it out. I'm like, click, 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 click. I'm like, it's like a movie. It's like a documentary to me.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I mean, it's interesting that I think sometimes I see like a kind of a thread or a sort of theme or something, some kind of commonality in a lot of the choices. And not
right.
necessarily in
Yeah.
all of your choices, but even the ones that were rejected, there is, I think what struck me is that a lot of your choices I would find very intensely stressful, but you kind of seem to be embracing those choices. So, like, are you quite a cool customer? Like, do you handle stress well?
I think I thrive under stress. But that's annoying for me. I wish I could just thrive in general, like without the need for stress. You know what I mean? You know when
Yeah.
people are like, I'm a high functioning depressive, and you're like, "Oh, you know what? I wish I was high functioning. Like I'll take I've been depressed. I was never high functioning when I was depressed. Um, so I think yeah, I think some of the choices, yeah, fair enough. They are a bit stressful, but I think in my in my head, I've also like afforded myself safety. I've like been like
Excellent.
I've been
Yeah.
assuming that if I go to these places, I can sort of like push a button and zap out of danger whenever I want,
Love
given
that.
that I've
Okay.
given that I've come here in a time machine,
Sure. So you want to
I
stay
can also escape.
close enough to the machine that if everything goes south, you can just zap yourself out of there. That seems
Yeah, I've just
sensible.
got a little clicker in my hand, danger
Excellent.
clicker, which I would probably be using quite a lot for at least a couple of my choices.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, one in particular was not what I was expecting. It's a great choice, but yeah, it really that was the thing that struck me. Like, you're a guy who can clearly tolerate more stress than I could. So I wanted before we get in the time machine, I wanted to kind of get a
Mm.
little sort of sense of like your baseline level. Like, what do you find stressful? What do you not find stressful? Because I think you're much more resilient than me. So we're going to do a little quick fire round just before we dive in. So I'm going to give you a
Oh,
scenario and I want you to score it
uh-huh.
out of five, five being the most stressful, zero being not stressful at all. Does that sound okay?
Okay, fine.
Marvelous.
Absolutely,
Okay.
let's do it.
So, number one, being Mrs. Doubtfire.
Being Mrs. Doubtfire is so stressful.
So stressful.
Um, I think so stressful. Like, just first of all, just the get up, just
Yeah.
the just the amount of preparation it takes
Just to get out of
to
bed in the
become
morning.
Mrs.
Yeah.
Just to get out of bed in the morning and put everything on and get into character. And then after that, you have to convince people that you're Mrs. Doubtfire. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna give that. I'm gonna give that a 3.5.
A 3.5, that's quite high. Attending a school reunion.
Attending a I've wanted to do this for a
Have
while.
you?
I feel like I feel like people get to do this. I've never got to do it. Like, it just doesn't, like, my school has never sorted it out. And
No.
I don't want to be the person who's like, guys, hey, who remembers me? Let's do a school reunion, huh? Because I'm just so nosy. That's like the whole reason I want to do it. I'm like, oh, what's everyone up to now? Um, so I think a school reunion. Would it be like, I think, yeah, I think the issue with a school reunion is that a lot of the time when you're around people from high school, you sort of revert a little bit
Yeah.
into who you are, not fully in terms of your personality, but certainly in terms of like insecurities. You're like, oh my God, the cool kids are there. Can I talk to them? Um, and so I think that definitely involves a level of stress. But I think overall, I'd be okay with it. I'd be yeah, I think I'm just so nosy that I think that would take over any level of nerves. So I'm gonna put that as a 1.5.
Oh, okay. All right. What about spending a weekend on a canal boat with Gregg Wallace?
Why did you put me in the smallest bit of somewhere I can't escape from? Greg Wallace has definitely kicked off the curb so that we're in the middle of the water. I can't just get up and escape.
I mean, this is why
Um,
I wanted to see what's your stress limit. Like, with your choices, I think people will understand why I've proposed putting you in a canal boat with Greg Wallace because, like, he can handle it. If anyone can handle it, Daman can.
Ah, look, if it's a matter of national security and I've been chosen to protect the nation from Greg Wallace, I'll take it on. Okay, I'm nothing if not a patriot. Um, I think, God, yeah, I would hate that so much. Although, like, it doesn't seem like I'm one of the sort of. I don't think I'm one of his usual victims.
No.
So I think that, like, I would hate it. Um, but I wouldn't be. I would hate it more than I'm stressed by it because I'm
Sure.
like, this guy is like, I think I could sort him out. I'm gonna go on the record. I'm gonna say I think Greg Wallace, never try anything with me. All right. I'm gonna put that as a 2.5.
A 2.5. Okay,
Yeah.
that's interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
A couple more. Wearing a light colored top, then spilling gravy on it, and having to spend the rest of the day out and about with a gravy stain on your clothing.
That's a 4 out of 5.
That is a 4 out
That's a
of
4 out of 5.
5.
I hate that. I mean, I here's the issue. When I was younger, I had no qualms about what I looked like,
Mm.
what my dress sense was. I was just a free spirit. Then I got married, and now all of a sudden, I my wife has unfortunately trained me to care about myself or whatever. Yeah. Something called self-love,
Oh,
apparently.
the
I don't know.
cruelty of wives.
The
Yeah.
cruelty of wives, God. Ugh. Um, and so now, like, I'm much more like, oh, I want to be nice and presentable,
Mm.
and I'm like, I want to present a nice version of myself. So if I'm wearing something light and I've spilt gravy all over it, especially if it's early in the day,
Yeah.
oh man, like it's
Nightmare.
gonna like I'm definitely an overthinker.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So
Yeah.
like what'll happen is I'll be devastated for ages, and then Jazz, my wife, she'll be like she'll take the piss for 15 minutes, and then she'll be like, no, you know what, like you don't worry about it, it's okay, we'll sort it out, and I'll be like, oh, okay, and then I'll forget about it, and then every 5 minutes I'll be like, oh, I spilled gravy on my top. Um, so I think that's a 4. I'm gonna give that a 4.
Yeah, that's a 4. And lastly, telling a group of teenage boys not to kick a football at your garden fence.
Ooh, 5 out of 5.
5. So
Like I can already feel my heart beating now. You know, teenage boys are the scariest phenomenon on earth.
Oh, yeah.
Like they are what, and they're what? There's a group of them, and they're playing football.
Yeah.
Oh, and first of all, if I said that to them, it would be after I spent 45 minutes psyching myself up first to be like, come on, you can tell them. Come on, this is annoying you. Come on. Come on, you can say something. And then I'd say a bit, hey guys, could you not hit the ball on my fence
Yeah.
so much, please?
I think
Here's
I would
some
say the word sorry about 9 times. "Hi, sorry, guys. Sorry, would you mind just not sorry, like, just not hitting the fence? Sorry. Sorry."
sorry,
Yeah.
is that okay? Only if you want. Only if you want.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Alternatively, I can get you hammers and you can just beat it down. Sorry, like, I don't
Yeah.
sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a 5, and interestingly, that is, according to the maths, twice as stressful as spending a weekend on a canal boat with Gregg Wallace.
100%. Gregg Wallace is not a teenage boy, although he does behave like one. Um,
Well, that really helps me out now. As we get into the time machine, I know what you can handle and what you don't feel like you could handle well.
yeah, right, yeah.
Luckily, our first choice in the time machine, there won't be too many teenage boys there.
Great.
We are going, and your first bit, it's really pushing the time machine to its absolute limit. It's going back further than we've ever gone before on the podcast. We are
Let's
heading
go.
to Pangaea, approximately 200 million years ago, into the Jurassic era. The world is dominated by some of the most fearsome creatures that have ever existed. And you want to do a bit of a safari here.
Of course, man. I couldn't believe it. You know what? Well, you know what happened? When I sent you my choices, I was thinking, everyone's probably done these. Right. And then you said like, no, no one's done it. I was like,
No one's
how
been
come
there.
no one wants to do these? Um, okay. First of all, absolutely. Like, if you've got a time machine, don't you want to? In my head, I'm like, don't you want to see the most different thing possible?
That makes sense.
Like, I want to see the most like, you know, like okay, so we've grown up with all these stories about the dinosaurs, and
Mm,
you go to the Natural History Museum. Wow, they're these majestic creatures, absolutely ginormous. You know, to a scale that you just can't fathom these days.
yeah.
Like we don't have that anymore. So, and also, I think in terms of what they look like, even though we've got like a good idea of what it is, it's still largely conjecture
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
there's no evidence, obviously, of like what what they looked like. This is just what we think it is just the best put together version conceptually based
Yeah,
on
yeah.
science. But a lot of scientists say, well, dinosaurs could actually look way different to how we're portraying them right now.
So for like hundreds of years, everyone sort of agreed they were essentially like big lizards. And then
Yeah,
some asshole paleontologist about 8 years ago was like, actually, we think they were covered in feathers. And it's like, what? That's a
there you
big
go.
change. Like, where did that come from? They were just big chickens? Like, that immediately made dinosaurs like 40% less cool for me. Imagining dinosaurs going around with feathers, it just seemed strange.
But yeah, yeah, yeah. Just a big camp T-Rex, like.
Yeah. Looking like Elton John in the 70s with like pink feathers all over him. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And so now, like, even when I picture a T-Rex, I'm like picturing the lizard with feathers glued on, like a feather scarf. I'm like, I can't even imagine this T-Rex with just feathers, right? But yeah, exactly. This is exactly what I mean. Someone's saying they've got feathers. So now I'm like, huh. So what, you're saying that this T-Rex just ran at God knows what speed with feathers all over it. I mean, the pterodactyls you can imagine. These guys are flying.
Sure.
Birds are descendants of dinosaurs. Fine,
Totally makes
like
sense.
conceptually it makes more sense. But one of those big ass stegosauruses with those massive scales. Do the scales also have
Yeah,
feathers all over them? I mean, it just sounds like creatures of fantasy,
it
which
does.
dinosaurs already are, but now there's like another level to it because I'm like, what? So I get to go see. Like this is the safari of all safaris.
It really
Like
is.
if you think you had a good one seeing a tiger and a rhino, you did. You did have a good one, but I've had the best one. I saw a camp T-Rex. I
Well,
think I win.
how much of this choice was it more about having an interest in the natural world, or was this kind of born out of being a fan of the Jurassic Park movies as a kid?
It's actually not. I'm not even a very big fan of the Jurassic Park movies.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm like, take it or leave it. I, I enjoy it, but I'm not a diehard or anything.
okay.
Um, but like, I think I'm just way more interested in the natural world,
Yeah, yeah.
the sort of like the limits of what nature has to offer.
Mm.
Um, so like for instance, another if you allow me to transport back to the present for a sec.
Please.
Um, what I would also love to see is the depths of the ocean that we haven't gone to yet.
Mm.
Because they say like something like 80% of the ocean is currently unexplored by humans because we just can't like, handle the pressure
Yeah,
literally
yeah,
of going that deep down.
yeah,
But there's like all sorts of creatures and wildlife that we share a planet with,
yeah.
but we have no idea who they are, what they look like, and I am just fascinated to know the sort of limits of existence that
Mm.
we have coexisted with.
I totally agree. I totally get it. Like when all the knobhead billionaires were sort of trying to race each other into space, my
Yeah,
first thought was, why aren't you like sending a sub down the Mariana Trench and like exploring, like
yeah,
11 kilometers below the Earth's surface? Like, why are you not looking there? That's so much cooler than trying to set up a living space on Mars. Like, that's depressing as fuck.
right.
But yeah, like there's stuff on our planet that nobody's ever seen. So I'm totally with you there.
Totally, man. And so I think it's that same curiosity. I always say in a different life, I would have been like a zookeeper or something.
Ah, yeah.
I just I love nature so much. And I've never been on a safari and I would love to. Like it's so high on my bucket list.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and I think, yeah, so I think, yeah, going to see the dinosaurs, it satisfies the part of my brain that loves mystery, and B, nature as well,
Yeah, yeah. Well,
you know?
obviously, I mean, I don't need to tell you, the Earth is a very different place back then. So I think that for this choice,
Yeah.
there's a bit of prep that needs to go in. Uh,
Yeah, yeah.
so we need to kind of think about like what supplies we're going because oxygen levels were lower, CO2
Mm,
levels were about 7 times higher. There was lots of
okay.
side. This was all me reading on the internet yesterday. I am not a science dude.
Yeah.
There was lots of hydrogen sulfide in the air, so apparently the air would have smelled like rotten eggs, but also decaying flesh because of all the dead dinosaurs. So, like,
Wow.
we might want to, bring like a little kind of little hanky with
Hazmat
some
suit.
nice so you were thinking hazmat suit. I was thinking like a hanky with my wife's perfume. But you know what? Like maybe both are fine. Maybe a
Different
little
budgets,
hanky
different
in the
budgets.
yeah, we can only afford one hazmat suit. And yeah, we can get me a hanky. But something that we talk a lot about on this podcast is with guests kind of considering how their actions in the past might impact the future. And
Yeah.
this being the furthest back we've gone, the risks feel that much higher because, like if you step on a twig or if you accidentally smash a dinosaur's egg and that dinosaur never existed, the knock-on effects. How worried are you about going back and screwing everything up?
I honestly think that it's if you go back to any point in the past, you will completely change whatever the future is. So if my conceit is that I get to go to the past, then I have to just accept. Either I have to assume, either in this scenario, I'm assuming like I get to go there and be an observer for free,
Definitely.
or if I go back, then everything changes. But that will always happen, right? Like I could go back like 20 years ago and step in front of a car, step back onto the curb, the car crashes. All of a sudden, we live in a like 20 years later, we're living
Yeah,
in a
yeah,
completely different. Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
The
man.
butterfly effect has had enough time to take place,
Yeah.
even then. So yeah, I'm not so. I've got a time machine. I'm not worried about what's happening to humanity. That's your problem.
We'll leave that to
I'm.
the nerds in the lab. They can figure that out.
I'll just go. I'll just go back a little bit. If I ever have to, I'll just go back a little bit further and then stop myself.
Nice. Oh, that is a loophole. That yeah. Why
Yeah,
didn't Marty McFly think of that? Like, just go back a little bit and undo his
just
mistakes.
yeah, exactly. Just a little bit more. Just block the entrance. Turn around, mate. No, no, no. This isn't for you.
with with going back, and you want to see the dinosaurs, is there a particular dinosaur that you would like to see?
Actually, no. I would love to see any and all dinosaurs. I would like to see a smorgasbord of different not only dinosaurs, but different plants. Oh man, can you imagine
Yeah,
all the like
yeah,
crazy plants that are like, because what is it like 99% of everything that's ever lived? Sorry, I'm getting emotional. um, just a scratch in my throat. Sorry. 99% of everything that's ever lived is extinct.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
so for me, I would just like to go back and see a whole different array of. It's almost like fiction, basically,
yeah,
because I'm gonna see a whole bunch of like plants, like wildlife in general, animals that are not dinosaurs, but also dinosaurs. Um, that I we can't really even conceptualize.
yeah.
So
The thing,
I think I'd like to do that.
yeah, man. I think one of the things about this that really it just melts my brain is so I was looking at kind of what dinosaurs would be around and stuff, and I like a lot of people assume T Rex is around in the Jurassic period, and that is entirely Steven Spielberg's fault. But actually,
Yeah.
the T Rex didn't show up until the early Cretaceous period, which is 60 million years later. And it's when you get into those numbers, like you'd have to wait 60
Whoa.
million years from the Jurassic period to see, like 60 million
Million
years.
years.
Like it makes everything that we do and that we are, and you think about human progress and where we are, in 2026 uh AD, or whatever the letters are now. Like, it's mad. It's just mad to think 60 million years. So these guys, they dominated the planet for literally hundreds of millions of years. The scale of it is just
Insane.
extraordinary.
Absolutely. Do you mind if I pause for a second just to grab a glass of
Oh,
water?
mate, you do what you need to do, of course.
60 million years, that's a good tenure. You know what I mean? That's a very good tenure
Yeah.
for for the dinosaurs. I feel like that's like we humans as we are now, we are not we're not even gonna last 0.00001% of that time.
Yeah, exactly. And yet we arrogantly have this idea that we are kind of the apex of, like, everything's been leading to us. And it is such an arrogant kind of human centric view. Like, no, the
Yeah.
dinosaurs, like, it took fucking rocks from the sky falling down and bringing in an ice age to kill off them. We are going to be killed because we wanted a computer program that could fool us into thinking it was a human. Like, we are not a bright species. We deserve what we get.
100%, 100%. Every time people are like, "Oh, it's the end of days," I'm like, "Yeah, good. This is what this
Yeah.
is what this is what all of you. This is karma. All right, you guys earned this end of the world.
Absolutely.
Actually,
Some days you look at the news headlines and you're like, "Yep, we deserve it. Like, hurry up. Let's get it done." Like,
yeah,
ridiculous.
yeah,
Would
exactly.
you think about going back and bringing back a souvenir of any kind? Like, is there anything you're like,
Ooh,
"I could take that in the time machine with me. I could bring it home."
oh, that's a great question. Gosh, I would. There are so many things I would like to take. I wonder if the water would be like sanitary to drink,
Oh,
because like imagine like just this most like pure unrefined water, like the
yeah.
best, I guess the best quality water of all time, I guess. Right? Or would I need
Yeah.
to take a chlorine tablet with me into the past? Don't mind me, dinos. I'm just gonna enjoy this beverage.
I'm just I'm trying to imagine if you brought something like water or a plant back, like, the risk of kind of an ancient sort of pathogen or virus or bacteria. Like,
Mm,
the guy who bit a bat came in, quite rightly, in my opinion. Controversial opinion, but I don't think COVID was a good thing. And I think that the guy who bit the
whoa.
bat, yeah, that's right. You come here for your hot takes, folks. But yeah, I think your reputation might take a bit of a hit if you brought
Yeah.
back a small sample of water and it contained something that could kill all of humanity. So there's that tiny risk, but it would be pretty cool.
Other than that, come on, you'd be like, yeah, look, is it risky? Yeah, sure, but guys, you gotta try this.
Exactly. There's pros and
You
cons
gotta
to
try this.
everything. Let's not let the health and safety brigade win. Like,
I'm like the person who first created like Coca-Cola with cocaine. I'm like, no, I know, like, I know some people are like saying they don't know about this, but guys, you gotta try this. You gotta try this.
let your kids try it. Let the boy have his sip.
Okay, so water, like, okay, fine, maybe not. If I had to, I think if we're gonna consider like pathogens and disease and bacteria, I think anything I bring back with me will have that.
Yeah,
So so that's probably I'd have to take that as a given. But having said that, I don't need to take a whole glass of it back with
true,
me.
true.
So I maybe like I would try to find the dinosaur I can see with the biggest teeth and just like a cool dino tooth necklace.
I love that. I can't imagine that extracting the tooth is gonna be a very fun experience, but
It's not gonna be great, but
as I said at
there's
the
loads
beginning,
of
your
you said there's loads
tolerance
of
for stress,
dinosaurs. Yeah,
a lot
there's
better
loads
than
of
mine.
There's loads of like dead dinosaurs lying about though, right? So
Oh, that's so true. Yeah. That's a
yeah,
real.
so
Well, then there we go. S-
or maybe a feather, just a feather to tuck into my turban. A
they are
dino feather.
both very good choices. And on the kind of flip side of that, kind of like
Yeah.
Desert Island Discs, if you were allowed to bring one sort of modern convenience with you to the Jurassic, let's say you're spending a day on a Jurassic safari, what would you not be able to live without?
It feels illegal for the answer not to be my DSLR camera. Like
True, of
I'd
course.
I would be recording everything. I would
Yeah.
be everything, I'm getting these feathers in 4K.
And then you'd
I'm
post them on
I'm
socials and you'd be like, everyone's going to freak out about this. And everyone would just be like, oh, it's AI.
yeah. Yeah, yeah. I'd post to get ready with me. Get ready with me as we try to survive the dinosaurs for a few hours, huh? Hey guys, so this spear is actually made of natural bone. I'll do a full Gen Z TikTok.
Well, that is it's an extraordinary choice. And as you say, this is the fourth episode of the podcast that we've done. No one has thought to go back there yet. So
Great.
excellent to go back and see those. And now,
Thank you.
let's say that we've survived all this. We've managed to get a tooth or a feather. We're going to hop back in the time machine. Your second choice, a brilliant choice. You want to visit 15th century Punjab uh,
Correct.
to meet some of the Sikh gurus. Uh,
That's right.
Now, am I? uh, This is very ignorant Irish Catholic. Sikh or Sikh? Because I've heard
No, no, you did great.
Sikh.
Sick, sick is
Lovely,
how you would say
cool,
it. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
great. Thank you. I
Big
saw a
time.
video yesterday where someone said Sikh, and I was like, oh, I've never heard that pronunciation. I just want to check that that's cool. So yeah, you want to go back
No,
and
it's
meet?
great. I did a video recently where there was like an elderly Sikh gentleman who had come out who'd sort of he'd been in this country like 50 years, but like unfortunately he'd been radicalized by the far right, and he was like he's basically dressed like a KKK member, right?
Oh
And he
no,
was like, oh, I hate these immigrants and right? So I did a video taking him down
good.
because you got to check your own community first, right? So I I as they do with me, and and yeah, so basically I was pronouncing it. I'm trying to get into an era where I pronounce things a little bit more true to how they're supposed to be pronounced. So I was talking about this Sikh gentleman, and I got a comment being like, listen, mate, in this country it's Sikh, not sick. And I was
Oh
like,
Jesus,
and
you're
I was, and
kidding.
I was like, oh, sorry, are you trying to educate me on how to say my my religion?
Explaining to a sick gentleman is that
Sick
is
explaining,
yeah,
yeah.
fucking hell.
um, so so that was just a fun bit of trivia for you. But
Shout
all,
out
all
to
of
the
this to
British
say,
far
sick is
right.
all this to say, sick is perfect. You did a
Excellent.
good
Well,
job.
lovely. And so I assumed that maybe I took a liberty and kind of thought we'll take the time machine to the village of Kartarpur, which is the village that Guru Nanak founded. And Guru Nanak, I mean, you'll know so much more about this obviously than me. So why don't you tell us a little bit about what your motivation is for wanting to go back here and meet some of the Sikh gurus?
So Guru Nanak Dev Ji, our first guru, guru meaning basically teacher or prophet. We have 10 gurus in Sikhism, um, and or Sikhi, and so yeah, Guru Nanak Dev Ji was our first one who essentially was the one who was enlightened with the message of what Sikhi teaches. But I suppose what happens is, I guess, I mean, I don't want to put the words in the mouth of any other religion, but what happens is you get somebody holy like this who comes along, who is like this divine being, and they teach a way of life, but they don't label it. And over time, it becomes a religion, or it becomes
Mm.
something that's known under a label.
Hmm.
So Guru Nanak Dev Ji, he's the founder of what we know as Sikhi. And so I just personally, in the same respect as I would want to meet Jesus, actually, I want to experience what it's like to be in the presence of somebody so spiritually enlightened, so merged with God already. I would just love to just be in the presence and intercept the aura and the energy of that type of being.
Yeah.
And obviously, because I've grown up in Sikhi, um, that's what draws me to Guru Nanak Dev Ji. Truth be told, I could go to any of the gurus. I mean, it would be just as enlightening, just as like spiritually powerful. Um, Guru Nanak Dev Ji I chose just because he's like the OG number one,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know.
The
But
the story of how he came to kind of become enlightened and to found the religion is a really fascinating one. And what really struck me about it was just how extraordinarily forward thinking and progressive it was. In the 15th century, to have someone say that we're all equal and that,
mm,
no person is above anyone else, that no man is above a woman or no royalty is above a peasant. I mean, you know, I, I've been watching
yeah,
The Golden Girls recently. I promise
yeah,
this is vaguely related. Been watching The Golden Girls, loving it, thinking, isn't that amazing? Like a show in the 1980s that put, four kind of pension age women at the center. Like that's progressive. But no,
mm,
this is like 15th century Punjab and someone saying no one is above anyone else, no religion is more than anyone else, God is in everybody.
yeah.
It's an extraordinarily egalitarian and progressive viewpoint.
Absolutely, and it's sort of the type of thing that's kept me in Sikhi as well through my life as I've questioned my spirituality, my beliefs, and so on. I really like the energy that Sikhi brings, and this is a great example of that, where you know Guru Nanak Dev Ji said, because of course we have rampant misogyny now, let alone in the 15th century. Obviously, things have improved, but you can imagine how bad it was back then, particularly,
Mm,
on the subcontinent. And some people question it because Guru Nanak Dev Ji said, from her kings are born,
mm,
and people are like, oh yeah, well, he's basically putting her secondary, really, because we're talking about how important kings are,
mm,
and I'm like, I hear that, but also it's difficult to preach in a way that people are going to be receptive to back then, right? It's
mm.
difficult to be like, no, we're the same, and then that's it. And people will be like, oh, please get out of here. Like, we don't, I don't know, whatever you're selling, we're not buying, mister. But, like Guru Dev Ji, yeah, absolutely. And Sikhi does preach absolute equality, in the same way women are warriors, just the same way men are. Uh, And yeah, I really do, I do love that, and I also love, within our holy text, the Guru Granth Sahib Ji, um, we have we have passages from Hindu scripture, we have passages from Islamic scripture,
Mm, mhm,
um, because where they were based, obviously those were the big religions.
mhm.
And Guru Nanak Dev Ji never said you're wrong.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
was like, you can do your thing too. Like, we're not saying like this is the only right way. We're saying that this is one of the right ways. I have been given this information, which I'll give to you, but if you are somebody else on the path in your own way, you're also good. And so I've always loved that sort of live and let live
Yeah,
type
absolutely,
of
yeah.
philosophy.
I
And
think it's
so,
a value or a mindset that so many faiths claim to exercise and claim to believe. But my experience, certainly of growing up in Northern Ireland, I don't know if you're aware, we've had some difficulties around religion. Just some difficulties, not
some
nothing more than that.
difficulties,
Yeah,
or a synonym of difficulties, eh?
yeah, a
Yeah.
certain amount of unpleasantness, a little bit of trouble. Uh, yeah, like a lot of Christian faiths and that kind of thing say that they're very inclusive and everything, but then when it comes to it, it's fire and brimstone, and oh, if you don't believe this, you're going to hell. If you do this, you're going to hell. And yeah, but the very small amount that I know about Sikhi from watching some stuff yesterday and reading a bit before I talked to you,
Mhm, mhm.
I'm astonished by how yeah, like beautiful and inclusive and positive and forward thinking it is. And yeah, for that time, you're going back 15th century Punjab and you're meeting this person. I mean, these are radical ideas. Is there a particular question or topic that you would like to speak to Guru Nanak about?
I'm not sure I would have a particular. I mean, if I could go and ask, if I could go and ask anything, I'd literally just say, "What do I do? Like, what should I do?" Like you,
Mm,
like I, and just to have somebody like Guru Nanak Dev Ji explain to me, like, okay, this is this is my understanding of the journey of life, of the world, of God, of whatever is ethereal. Um, I would just love to hear anything that he has to say, basically,
mhm.
because I think that so much of the time, like when you're trying to, I think spirituality these days is like very difficult because it's difficult to access. Like there's a lot of like faux spirituality out there, but if you're like really trying to understand scripture and understand the word of God through a religious POV, then a lot of it is lost in like old language. A lot of it is lost in translation now. There's a lot of, say for example, if I go to a Gurdwara today, our temple, um you'd hear a lot of this old scripture, but it's not really designed. They're not, because it's old Punjabi, and it's Gurmukhi, it's called, the type of Punjabi that the Guru Granth Sahib Ji is written in. It's very difficult for us to understand. It is Punjabi, but it's like trying to understand Old English. You're like,
Yeah,
I don't really get it. Like you're saying the words, but I don't really understand the
yeah.
what you're trying to say. Um, so
Am
I
I right in
think,
thinking as well that a lot of it is sung rather than just spoken?
well, it is sung as well. Yeah, there's a lot of like rhyming structure within our holy text. So yeah, our hymns are they will come straight from there.
Yeah, yeah,
And so yeah, a lot of it is sung. There is like a poetic and rhythmic element to all of it, which is meant to make it easier to understand. And I'm sure, like, had the linguistic capabilities of that time continued throughout like the followers of Sikhi, it would have been fine. But it's just that, as always, society moves on, time moves on, and there's always only a few people who really understand spiritual text, right?
yeah, sure.
Um, so I would just, I guess, even though we speak different languages, Guru Nanak Dev Ji being such a holy being, I would just trust that whatever message he had for me, I would just be receptive to
Yeah,
whatever it
yeah.
is. So I would just, I'm just trying to just be in awe of somebody, trying
Yeah.
to just take in their what makes them special.
Yeah. It
So I think that's what I would like to do there.
Yeah, absolutely. There's so many things about Sikhi that, and specifically that Guru Nanak uh, established, so early on. Things like, and please forgive my pronunciation if I get them wrong, but like Sangat and Langar, like
So yeah, yeah.
the community
Community
kitchen,
and the
and
kitchen, yeah.
yeah, like there. I mean, were they things that you grew up experiencing? So maybe for people who aren't familiar, do you also want to explain what they are? Um,
Sangat is I suppose what you guys would call church, like community, like not the building but the people, right?
mhm.
Sangat is like yeah, that's who that is. And langar is basically when you go to the temple, you go to the gurdwara, basically what's supposed to happen is that there is a langar hall, which means that whoever you are, wherever you come from, it doesn't matter. They have prepared food for you, and you can just go and have some, no charge ever.
Yeah,
Um, and so seva is what we call service, aka giving back, right?
yeah,
Charity,
yeah,
essentially. Um, seva is something that you should be aiming to do in your life. It's one of the things that brings you closer to God, and it's something that it's like a core tenet of Sikhi. So, um, yeah, basically, we grow up um, knowing that there should be like a portion of our income that we are dedicating to charity all the time, and that we are giving back to our community however we can. And one of the ways the Gurdwara does this is through langar. Um, and so, yeah, it's really lovely. It is something I grew up with. What I will say though is that definitely, I mean, I feel like maybe I'm putting it across like it's all like sunshine and roses. Like it's definitely not. Um, I also I think Sikhi is like a relatively young world major religion, maybe the
yeah,
youngest, and so because of that, like I know you were saying, there was those difficulties you had in Ireland with Christianity and so on. I'm like, just give it a bit of time. Like every religion, like Sikhi will have the same. I mean, there are
sure,
problems already, definitely entrenched within Sikhi and the Sikh communities worldwide, and they're just going to get bigger and bigger. That's what happens with
sure,
every religion. You find people who like we think we're concentrating on this bit and we're concentrating on that bit. Okay, fine. Well, then now we're different sects, and then
yeah, yeah,
like it just that happens more and more and more. And with the Gurdwara as well, like I would go there, the Gurdwara meaning temple. I would go there growing up, and like all of this would be happening, and there would be they would say the prayers and they would sing the hymns, and we would have longer, but also like I mean, well, is it nice? Like, yeah, sure, it's nice, but none of the significance was ever explained to us by anybody in the Gurdwara or anything like that. It was just more like, I assume it's kind of how like a lot of kids have to go to church on Sunday. They don't really get why. It's just like a thing
sure,
that you do, right?
yeah,
You go with your family. It was sort of very similar for me. So then now in my later life, I'm like trying to investigate and interrogate what it is more so
mm,
that I can find the meaning within it and connect with it more. Because obviously, it's all well and good to go to the temple once a week if you can even do that. But spirituality, I think it goes way further and deeper than
yeah,
any of those
yeah.
things, right?
I think it's one of those things as well. It makes total sense the way you're talking about it. As you grow up, as you mature, as your life becomes more complicated and that kind of thing, your
Mm.
relationship with spirituality or ethics or community or whatever asset of your faith that you are a part of it, that you're engaged with, that's going to change and grow and mature.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I think it's such a fascinating choice. It's such a fascinating time that you've chosen to go to and speak to someone who with just kind of radical and positive ideas. I think it's so cool. what really struck me as well is your first choice. Super stressful. There are dinosaurs everywhere. I hope we don't die. And then you go to 15th century Punjab and spend time just kind of soaking up the aura and the spirituality from a guru. A- And now your third choice. So hopefully you're feeling nice and zen, having spent some time with Guru Nanak. If you thought,
Yeah.
listener, that the Jurassic era was uncomfortable, strap in. Daman's third and final choice, and I quote directly here, he would like to go to the day before our sun burns out. Now, Daman, sometimes as the host, I like to be informed and, ask kind of questions that keep the quality of conversation up. And sometimes I feel it's my job to just speak as the listener. And I think I speak on behalf of all of us when I say, what the fuck? You want to go to the day before the sun burns out?
Listen, man, the thread is clear. We're back to the mysteries and we're back to nature, okay?
Yeah,
I I want to see I chose that day specifically because I was like, I think we have an estimate of when that is. I don't know if we know exactly when it is,
sure.
but we have an estimate. It's probably like a few million years into the future. Once again, stretching the capabilities of this rusty
Absolutely,
old time
yeah.
machine. um, but like I want to see, just in the same way that like I want to see the dinosaurs. I want to see what Earth looks like truly at the end of the world. The end of the world, we all talk about the end of the world all the time. When the sun goes, we won't be able to exist anymore, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
so um I want to see what happened. What does the Earth look like? What creatures are on Earth? Are any creatures are on Earth at all? Like
yeah,
what has the fate of this planet been?
yeah,
Because they say it goes through cycles, right?
yeah,
Like
yeah.
you ups and downs and different ages. And so I'm just so fascinated to see once again, I'm just looking for novel experiences. I
I
want to.
think that puts it mildly, yeah. I
I
mean,
don't think you can get it on red letter days, but I I think it would be unbelievable to just watch like as the sun literally sets on the earth,
yeah.
you know?
Do you know what? I'm stuck in two minds about this, whether I think it's on the one hand, I admire your optimism that you think that the earth is only going to cease being and humanity will cease when the sun gives in. I think we've talked enough about
Yeah, no, I
uh
don't think the humans will be there.
yeah. Yeah.
No, no, no.
So let's say humanity is done with, but also I think that this is arguably the most British choice you could have made. Like, and to to want to be present at the moment when everything on earth ends, like I haven't seen the British spirit summed up quite so admirably since the day after Southgate missed the penalty in '96. Like I want to be there and see the light fade on earth is such a British thing to say.
Man, I want I want to see the reflection disappear from my eyes.
There are
Um,
it's difficult to kind of know what exactly, I mean, to sort of say like the day, the because it's going to be such a long period, again we're talking like
yeah,
a billion or a trillion year kind of process of the sun
yeah,
eventually burning out. But um the best I think we could say is that there will be a time about a billion years from now when it's estimated that the sun will be approximately like 10% brighter than it is now,
right.
uh which sounds like a Brexit promise, but it's actually very dangerous. uh, the sun's brightness, that increase, will boil the oceans, evaporate the oceans, and obviously at that point, life on our planet is, because the air will be, scientists predict, like thick with a kind of pressurized blanket of sort of superheated steam,
Oh
and that
gosh.
kind of cloud would block the sun. Our bodies would be unable to regulate temperature. Photosynthesis is long gone because plants can't really survive above 50 degrees Celsius. So,
Good times.
yeah. So this is what you want to see. So are we in the time machine kind of floating? I'm picturing us not on Earth, but kind of floating somewhere in the cosmos, watching the oceans
Yeah.
evaporate, and
I think we've taken our same hazmat suits.
and my
Um
little hanky with my wife's perfume on it.
and your little hanky, yeah. And me just me in my hazmat suit telling you to just chill out and hold your breath. It's fine, Connor. What are you worried about? Um yeah, yeah. I think at this point things have gone well. I've sold some of my dinosaur movie rights. Um, and I've got you a hazmat suit as well. So I think we're both somewhere on Earth in these specialized suits,
Sure.
watching, yeah, watching what happens as it unfolds.
Yeah.
Um, I know it's dystopic, but not everything. Not I mean, I think that's the fascination of life as well. Is like, I mean, I could just go back to, like, I was thinking about this. I was like, yeah, well, I could meet like my own ancestors. I could meet, like,
Yeah,
I could
yeah.
go up the line somewhere to meet those. Well, maybe I could still do that around whenever I'm meeting Good Nanak Dev Ji. I could be like, "Nah, this has been so
Yeah.
good, but I've got to go meet my great grandma." Um,
Yeah.
but I was thinking, like, you can have these nice experiences too, but if you have the power of a time machine and the limitation of 3 points in time, all I'm trying to do is stretch my limits of my imagination as much as possible and just see what happens, how it happens, what does everything look like. I've seen um I've seen enough Marvel movies to know the end of the world can also be really beautiful.
It's I can't remember the exact phrasing of it, but there's that idea that as a species, we're the only species on Earth that is burdened with the knowledge that we will one day die. And I think
Mm.
more than ever before, we're all very aware that the planet is fucked, and that this might not be a billion years away. Like, if big companies in China and America are pulling out of climate agreements, we could be talking about like 2050 here. Um, it's a terrifying time for the planet, and
Yeah.
it's I can't even quite remember where I was going with this, because oh yeah, it was my question was going to be, you see this happen, you see the end of all things, you watch the planet die,
Mm.
and then the idea is we get back in the time machine, or we stay in the time machine and come back to 2026. What do you think the impact would be on how you live your life if you have watched the planet where you live and where everyone you know and love lives? If you've seen its end,
Yeah.
don't you think that life would just be intolerable after that? Or do you think you would?
Really? I think completely the opposite. I think
That's
I'd
so
I think
interesting.
I'd go back to my regular life, and that's the perspective sometimes that kicks you into gear. That's it, where you go, "Oh, yeah, no, hold on a second. This is all finite. This is all going to end." But my life as I have it is so nice, it's so privileged. I'm with the people I love all the time, and with God's grace, I've got a good few decades more left with them where I can enjoy the rest of my existence. Let me do that.
Yeah,
You know?
that's a
You know,
very
it's like
nice way of
it's like
thinking
when you
of
go
it.
to a funeral, and like it's like it hits you you're like, oh shit, hold on, one day I'm gonna die, and then you
Yeah.
go, well, what I could do is focus on everything that's making me miserable, or I could try and focus on everything that's been the best thing of my life ever, and make the rest of my existence closer to that. So
Yeah, I like
I
this.
I think it would be that rather than me going, oh, what's the point? A billion years from now, it's all over.
that's
Jazz would be like,
that's
you know
very
what? It was
true. I think yours is a glass half full approach to it, and mine is,
yeah.
oh, what's the point in getting up? Sure, the Earth's going to explode, and so yeah, maybe
Yeah.
we need your hopefulness.
Mm.
That
I
is.
had to I had to rectify some of my earlier Britishness. That's what that is.
It's is this like is it a kind of a thrill? Because the other option, the other sort of thing we could go back and see is because by the time the sun burns out, Earth will be
Yeah,
long gone. It's the sun will be expanding. It will basically kind of subsume the two nearest planets to it, and Earth will just kind of burn to a crisp. But
yeah,
then the
right.
sun will continue to kind of do its thing. It'll expand, and once its core burns out, you know as well as I do, Jericho comedy gets a lot of very smart people in our audience and hopefully listening to this. And they're probably
Big
listening to
time.
this performing arts graduate trying to explain the sun burning out. And they're just like, what the fuck is this guy on about? But as far as I understand it, the sun will kind of expand and expand until its core is exhausted, and the outer layer like shed its outer layers, and then eventually when
Yeah.
it's run out of energy it will fade and fade and fade until it does become nothing.
Mm.
Watching that from space, what an odd question I'm about to ask. Would you rather watch Earth burn to a crisp, or do you want to be there as the light from the sun goes out, like the last glimmer of light goes out? I mean, it is the darkest question I've ever asked anyone, but here we are.
I just think, uh, well, the sun is not the only source of light in the universe and the galaxy, right?
Well, I think
Like,
it the reflected light from the sun is why we see the moon. So
yeah,
there are other stars
there are other
that are
stars
sources of
burning
light.
everywhere.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
So, so I think like yes, like while that would be the main light switch, the main light is switched off, the side lights are still on, you know?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, for
Someone's
legal
still got the
reasons
lamp
we
on in the
can't turn
corner.
off the emergency exit sign, yeah.
Yeah. It will be like it would be harrowing because it would be so grand. It would be something never meant to be seen by human eyes.
Yeah.
Um, would it be harrowing? Yes, of course, but also like God, like yeah, wouldn't it be beautiful? I think it would be so that you know, it would bring some ambiance to
Yeah.
space.
It's like, come on, can we get a little mood lighting up in here?
It
Yeah.
would be a bit of mood lighting, you know. It'd be a bit of like, come on, we've been out all day, we've been staring at screens all day. Let's let's put the sepia tone on.
there were um there were some interesting videos like when I was trying to basically find out what this would mean, what this would look like, what we could see. I mean,
Hmm.
there's some fascinating kind of little kind of animated explainer videos online,
Yeah,
and some of them are like the more kind of fanciful, like what if the sun just went out one day, like it's
yeah.
shining now, and then what if it just suddenly stopped being or just disappeared? And those videos, like obviously it's kind of scientists' best guess of how long things could continue, how long,
Hmm.
if we built like underground bunkers and filled them with fake light and we could somehow replicate photosynthesis, grow crops, whatever. Um, they're just extraordinary scenarios to kind of consider. I mean,
Yeah.
do you think you would rather see, because that version of the sun just disappearing,
Mm.
humanity survives for a little while longer, life on the planet survives. I think there's a period where the reflected light from the sun is still, you'd still see the moon and that kind of thing before, because of the
Mm.
speed of light and how long it takes light to reach Earth and stuff.
Right.
And then there's the residual kind of heat that's on the surface, but it would just get colder and colder, and then we get snow and all the rest of it. But do you think you would rather see how we cope without a sun, or do you want to see the version where the sun boils the oceans and cooks us?
Oh, that's interesting. I don't mind, you know. I think,
Just so
I
long as the
think,
Earth's done. That's the main.
yeah, yeah, yeah. As long as I have closure. Um, I think I would be fascinated to see how humans survived in that. Because honestly, like in this scenario that I was thinking about where the sun's burning out, I'm thinking humanity's gone several millennia, several million years
Yeah,
before this.
sure.
Um, so I wasn't expecting to see any humans. So if humans are going to be present for the annihilation of the sun, then yeah, I definitely then in which case I want to see yeah how we have prepared for this and
Yeah,
also how we've evolved in all those years. This will be surely millions of years away. So once again,
you'd
if we
hope
have
so.
survived, then what? How have we changed? You know,
Yeah.
are we? Is it still a two arms, two legs type of thing? Like, what's going on?
Are we now just born with Apple iPhones attached to our hands? Like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Exactly. We've replaced yeah everyone's face is a third smaller because we don't have we just have a chip instead of a brain. You know. Um, I think it would be, yeah, that would be so fascinating. What it is like, I'm so interested in like fantasy and fantasy worlds, like I don't know, like say Harry Potter, or whatever, or like anime, Naruto. Like I love these worlds that have been created where something is happening in them that I could not see in my real life. So
yes.
what I'm
Yeah, yeah.
using the time machine to do is to go closer to those types of experiences where I can see something ethereal happen.
Yeah, yeah. That's yeah. It's a great use of the time machine, and what I really love about having these conversations with people, and what this sort of the format of the podcast allows is even
Yeah,
even if two people did choose the same thing, because we've had the Kennedy assassination, or going back to 1929 Speakeasy, or going back to the suffragette movement, or
nice.
going back to the Jurassic era. All these different things, even if two people choose the same thing, their motivations, what they want to get out of it, why they're going there, it's all different. And this, going to the
Really?
end of the world, like it's a use of the time machine that I hadn't considered, but it's fascinating to hear, and
Yeah.
somehow it's not quite as bleak as I thought when I first read it. Like the way you say,
Yeah.
talking about just the beauty of it, or just seeing the kind of what happens to humanity, or what. Yeah, really interesting. So
Right. You know,
as we get back in the time machine now, and we're heading home again back to 2026, you've been to the
uh,
Jurassic era. I mean, you have spanned trillions of years here. Incredible
gosh,
stuff. Uh,
smashed it.
I smashed it. You've completed time. Officially
Time
completed
machine.
time.
Yeah. Time completed it, mate.
So do you think as you get back to 2026, is there a part of you you're just grateful to be here now? Or will there always be a part of you that wants to be watching the oceans boil and Earth turn to ash?
No, no, I'm very grateful. Very, very grateful to be back in 2026 as compared to oceans boiling. Um I think I think is it the golden era of existence? I don't know about that. We've got some stuff going on right now which is
Yeah.
at best questionable. This is a very odd timeline that we're in, but yes, definitely as compared to boiling oceans or being eaten by a big feathered dinosaur, I'm very happy to be back in 2026 with all my hopes and dreams intact, with all my friends and family around. I think it's a good time to be alive.
Oh, that, and I am going to find myself listening to that little section on repeat when I'm feeling hopeless or feeling depressed. I'm just going to listen to Damon saying it's a good time to be alive, and we're lucky to be alive. Uh, Damon, thank you
Absolutely.
so much, man. I mean, this has been such a really fun chat. People who are listening who want to see more from you, see your brilliant sketches, listen to your podcast, what's the best way to find out where and when you're going to be gigging and doing things?
Oh, well, firstly, thanks so much for having me, man. Yeah, so much fun, dude. Um, Okay, if you want to follow me, I'm on Instagram at Daman.Bamrah, although the top tier number one thing to do would be to go to my website, damanbamrah.com, and I have a mailing list
Brilliant.
there. If you sign up there, then I will give you all of my details of all my shows, cool special projects. No spam, I promise.
Brilliant. Well, we will pop links in the episode description to all that. And Damon, thanks so much again, man. Hope to speak to you soon.
Thanks, brother. See you soon.
Thank you so much again to Damon. I absolutely loved that conversation, and I very much hope you did too. Damon is just one of the loveliest guys on the circuit, as well as being one of the funniest. It's a deadly combo. We're really loving making this podcast, and we have so many fantastic guests and fascinating conversations lined up for you to enjoy over the coming weeks. If you've been enjoying the series, firstly, thank you so much for listening. And secondly, we'd be really grateful if you could subscribe, give us a rating on Spotify or Apple or whichever platform you've been listening on. If you're near Oxford, this podcast is produced by the very brilliant Jericho Comedy, so make sure you check out our weekly shows and follow us at Comedy Jericho. Everything you need will be in the episode description. We'll be back again next week with another fantastic comedian guiding us through their time travel journey. Until then, take care and bye-bye.